All right.
I'm Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert, and we are at one of my favorite times of the week. It's any time we get to dive in and talk to a leader about themselves. So it's leaders living their values. Welcome. Looking forward to an amazing experience with Jeremy. And Jeremy, who are you?
Love this question. um, I could say a lot of things, but I think more recently, I've actually spent some time thinking about who I am. And so I'm a recovering survivalist and more focused on lifestyle design, more passion and purpose driven lifestyle design. So I'm a lifestyle designer.
Hmm. We're going to dive into that. First of all, I didn't mention your last name because I forgot to ask you in the green room how to say it. So,
Lessaris.
would you? Okay, got it. So, tell me more, a little bit more about your life and so on. Besides the what a survivalist.
Yeah. No, I think it's just background, right? Um, My background was a little bit more focused on just trying to make it. So I moved out at a young age. I had to, survive. It was, 15 years old, trying to pay rent and go to school and do a ton of things simultaneously. So I was always just focused on the next thing and make more money and have a better career and have a bigger house and a nicer car and all of these other things. And it was just focused on survival and growth and growth and growth. But as I started having successes through brute force alone and no other reason, I started to see where my failures were, what I was sacrificing, and I had given up having purpose or passion about anything. It was just brute force work. So going from that mentality to where I'm at today, which is really how do things play into my life and the vision and what I see for my future, how does it align with things that I want to build? How do I want to live my day? Very different mentality. So that's why I said recovering survivalist. It's not a really healthy mentality. It's that rise and grind and just super driven, but at a point of sacrifice of everything around me. And I did that for way too long. And so now I'm trying to not necessarily right all the wrongs of my past, but try to change the direction that I was heading. And it's more about purpose and passion and alignment and balance in my life. I'm more of a center of all of those things. And so a lot has changed in the way that I build companies, in the way that I operate those companies, in the way that I live my life every day. And I think I wish I had done this sooner, but I needed what I had done in the past to get where I'm at. So it's really what has defined me more recently in comparison to the survivalist piece of my life.
Does when you said you wish you had done this sooner, is that regret?
I wouldn't call it regret. You have a finite time that's not guaranteed, right? So I wish I had more time of this lifestyle and experience that I'm living today. Maybe I wasn't ready at the time. Maybe it wasn't right for me. Maybe I would have, squandered it in some way. And so I don't regret having the experiences I had previously because they've brought me so much more knowledge about what not to do. And it's been a healthy, piece to now look back and see what I've done and where I've come from. I love it. I'm actually living a passionate life. So when you're in it every day, it's just one of those things that you wish you had more of it for a much longer period of time with more great experiences versus the alternative, right? So um, it's more of like a reach for. I wish I just had more of that.
That's interesting because you still look kind of young to me, and there looks like an opportunity for you to have a very it's finite, but have a long life to serve many others.
Yeah, I mean it's not guaranteed. So I mean I think for me, every minute I get to enjoy it, it's great. I mean I'm not complaining of not having enough But I think, you and I have been talking about this even before the shows. Um, Too much is never enough. You want more of the best things that you have in front of you, right? So it's not really a regret of not having it. It's just more reach towards having more of it when I can.
Hmm. So who is it that you serve today? If somebody was thinking about you and hey, I like this guy and I want to hang around him and who is that?
So first, me. Um, so there's a lot of making me happy first, so I can do that for others more. Next has really been my friends, and obviously that's a super important part of my life today that I didn't have for a very long period of time. And I say friends before my wife because my wife is also my best friend. So it's you get some of that piece of it first, and then my marriage, which I think is hyper important to me above and beyond everything else. And then there's just so much more to it. My family plays a really pivotal role in the small family that I do have. It's really important. So I mean, there's a lot of other people that I love to make happy, and now more recently, the communities from where I came from. So that means a lot of different things, right? So I grew up in a unique socioeconomic environment where it was really difficult, and what I see myself focusing on in my business life are those communities, the startups, the small business, the bleeding heart entrepreneur that's really trying to make his way. Those are the communities that I feel like I'm really dedicated and spending my work life focused on. And so hence why I'm doing these, podcasts, if you will. Was really important to me to be able to give back to the community that brought me to where I'm at today.
What are you delivering to the I'm not asking you to sell me your product, but tell me what are you delivering to the communities that you serve in terms of you're in Miami Beach,
Correct.
um, and you're doing stuff both virtually and physically. Tell me a little bit more.
So the first thing I would say is I'm giving myself to the community first in the way that I'm approaching ideas. I think before it was all about profit over everything else. It was like I said before, it was a survivalist mentality. All I cared about was the bottom line. Didn't care about how I got
Mm.
there, didn't care about what I was selling, didn't care about how it impacted anything. I'm not going to go so far as to say that everything I'm doing is, social entrepreneurship. It's not. But I definitely see the way that I approach things and the amount of energy I'm putting into ideas that can actually impact the community. So affordable housing is on my radar. Why? I don't know how it ended up in the discussion of things I wanted to build because I don't come from the real estate industry. It's not my background, but it's something where I saw a path to actually make an impact. And I have this gigantic list of ideas of things I want to do and create and build. It's my outlet to not have to do all of them simultaneously, is to write them down. And as I start weighing in the factors of my lifestyle and what I want to create and areas I want to impact, I see myself naturally, and not because it was part of some kind of qualification for that idea, but I see myself impacting things that impacted me along my journey. So one is, entrepreneurs. If my words can help in any way, shape, or form to give some direction or guidance in an environment that's totally free and available widely, it's something where I put a lot of time, effort, and energy. Hence the reason I'm doing podcasting, not to sell anything I'm doing. The second, and I think more impactful one, is a project that I had started to help small businesses save money without impacting their day-to-day operations. So cost reduction opportunities, growth opportunities, lending capital in a really organized and healthy environment, not in this, merchant cash advance environment or others that I see that seem to be more predatory. That's my own opinion. And I see just a varying degree of people going out and raising capital and doing things the wrong way with their ideas and end up becoming an employee of their organization and hate what they built. And so the other part is just socially showing people that lifestyle makes a massive impact on health of the business as much as it does for the operation of the company. And so I wish I would have done that sooner. And I've been kind of trumpeting that in every discussion I have to try to help these startups not go through the same cycles of things I went through as I had built and sold 8 companies. I had 40 others that were total failures because of a bunch of other environmental variables. But the biggest was my own personal mental health and well-being. And I think people often sacrifice everything for success only to turn around to try to fix all the things they sacrificed. I'm I'm obviously one of them. So those are the things that I see myself focusing on now. So housing, cost reductions, serial entrepreneurs who need guidance in an environment that's not like, hey, buy my book or here's my, approach, just my own personal experiences and putting them out there to the world. And one of those things, which I noted to you, earlier on in conversations we had, I was just fortunate to have amazing mentors along the way, several of them that helped guide me to where I'm at today. So I was really lucky to have the right people at the right time that I didn't really expect or want. And I wish people had that mentorship sooner. And now, like we didn't have, you couldn't go on YouTube and search all this stuff out before. It was like cat videos, right? When it first came out. So it's a different environment now to be able to get all this information, but then find the right information that's not, taking you down this path is so difficult. It's so hard to find the right people. So again, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's definitely more purpose driven than what I was doing before, which is like, how can I make a buck from this? What can I do to, survive? Right. And now it's like, how can I help and give back and be a part of the community, not just take from it?
So, from a credibility perspective, you have the intent and commitment to do the right thing from the community where, if I heard you right, 48 companies you've started, 40
I,
failures,
there's so
8
many.
successful.
Yeah, there's probably more than that. My wife and my business partner, through many of the exits that I've had, would tell you I have a new idea every day, and I've invested money in 90% of that. Okay, we're going to do this, and like, whoa, hold on. We got to finish this one. You got this one on. We're building. I don't know what I call them, entrepreneurial seizures. It's like, I have this idea. I have to go do this now. I have to go. No one's doing it. And so I immediately start investing in them, and some of them only get so far. And it's like, okay, there's regulatory or hurdles or compliance hurdles, or like there's no customer base, or, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Like even if we did build it, it wouldn't make any money. So there's a ton of vetting that things go through. Now I just have this insanely long list of things I want to do, but I'm not allowed to do them. Like I have to go through a little bit of a vetting process now.
Dude, how long have you been married?
We're going on 7 years.
All right. So how many businesses was your wife prior girlfriend before then? How many was she exposed to?
Too many. Not even close to 20% of them, because at that point I had already started cadence of slowing things down, but there was just a ton in between, and an idea born every day for me. Unfortunately, I have these like moments where I see a gap, and then I identify how it could be solved, and I have all the puzzle pieces or team that could actually build it. And then I look at like, okay, what's going to cost me to build? And I'm a bootstrap founder. I don't raise capital. I've done it. I've raised capital. I've had companies that I've built with other people's money, and there's nothing like it. There's nothing like bootstrap founding a company all the way through to exit with no outside capital or even loans. And I did that. I was the king of side hustle. So I had a career and a job, and I was funneling that money into every idea and crazy thing I built. And I would tell you that the time you put into making sure it makes money and is profitable, the care in which you operate those companies is very different than when you raise capital and you're like, I have runway and this is my burn. so, so, I feel like that's been a big strength of a lot of my organizations that have been successful. But yeah, she was only exposed to much better exits and bigger companies um, than a lot of the early failures that I had. So by that time, I had already had some success and some exits, so I had some capital to do things better the next time than I did previously. The early ones were bad. I mean, just no organization, just full throttle. I'm going to make this work. And some of them turned out to be successful. So it wasn't bad. Every single idea was horrible, but definitely learned a lot through failure. Actually, I learned more through failure than anything else.
Mm. Is there a top failing story, or can you consolidate that into like a handful of, like, what are the top 1, 2, 3 stories that we should be thinking about?
One of them was an exit. I mean, so I can tell you that, when I've said this on 100 podcasts, exits aren't what everybody thinks they are. Some of them are successful. Some of them are purely you have failed so horribly that you need to sell the company. So I've had really good exits and I've had really bad exits. That doesn't even include the ones that I, dumped money into and went absolute nowhere. So part of it for me in failure, I think, was just not being educated and thinking I've had all the answers and would not reach out for help. Again, this was a survivalist thing. I don't want anything from anyone anytime. I don't need anyone's help. I'll figure it out on my own. It is not the way you could take the top 1,000 companies, they'll all tell you the same thing. It takes a team to make that work. Whether it's even these, very singular entrepreneur, like, hey, I'm just going to totally bootstrap from the ground up one person, you still need people. And I just didn't adopt that early. I thought I can do it all. I can be the accountant and the bookkeeper and this and that, and I can file all the taxes and I tried to be all things because I didn't have a capital. So there was definitely a little bit of a challenge, but I didn't know what leadership was. I could not get other people to adopt my ideas, and I was young. So it's a little more challenging when you're younger and you don't have, the knowledge or experience to get people to fully get on board with what you're doing. After you've had some successes, it becomes a lot easier to get people to adopt your vision and mission and value of what you're after. And I think when it was all about money, they were all failures. And I can tell you, when it's all just about money, all of those companies were absolute disaster failures. I had no purpose. I had no passion. I had no desire to be invested in those businesses. I just saw an opportunity and thought, hey, I can turn that into money. It's a horrible mistake to make. You have to be somewhat crazy to be an entrepreneur already. You have to be crazier to do something you just absolutely have no interest in doing and has no mission, has no value other than it just making money. It's just not a healthy environment to be in. And I can tell you, I know people who've built successful businesses that way. So it's not that you can't make them financially successful, but they hate it. And their lifestyle sucks because of it. So yeah. and they can't wait to exit, and they'll take the first deal they get at, 3x EBITDA or something just to get out of it. And then they're like, oh, I got to start all over again. And not everybody's like me with a million ideas backed up to build 20 more companies or the pure drive to do it again. It's not easy to get them off the ground. I love that part. Some people it's just a lot of work. So, to that, I would just say the failures I've learned were just not having purpose and passion behind the things I wanted to build. Those are the biggest failures.
I'm hearing you, And it's so funny. I just did a post and I included a quote from Mark Twain, who essentially said there are two key dates in somebody's life: the day they are born and the day they find out why. And what the post was, well, maybe your birthday is not the most important day because 90% of people who I've interacted with, and if you look at the Gallup polls, you look at my research, 90% of people are born, live, and die without ever knowing their purpose. So now you're spouting, hey, you got to know your purpose, you got to know your passion, otherwise, why do things? And 90% of people don't. Where's the disconnect? How do we fix that?
I don't think you can, like, there's no magic pill for this. I don't have an answer for that other than to say you got to try. You have to go at, I mean, a lot of people will get, what's the terminology? Analysis paralysis, like try to figure out the perfect thing. There's no perfect thing. You just got to attempt things that you feel are in alignment and that make you feel good and that you want to be involved in, and you invest in it to a point and you see, does this align with how I want to live? And so for me, it was thinking from the end result of how I wanted my life to be. This is lifestyle design for me personally. This is how I'd like to wake up. This is how I'd like to live my day. These are the people I want to be around. Here's how I want to feel. And if the things you're doing align with it, I'm not saying take your passion and turn it into a business. I also don't think that's super great idea. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means you really need to think through all of the other thing that surrounds it. Some people are really into fashion, or, I have friends who own salons and they're like, I love styling and hair and this and that. And then they get in it and they're like, I'm married to my business. I can't leave. I can't go on vacation because if I do, I don't make any money. And so there's a lot of things that, and doctors. And more recently, one of my businesses, I've met so many really passionate, like plastic surgeons and others. They are their business. And it's so hard to unplug from that. They didn't think about the end result lifestyle piece of it. So it becomes kind of like, how does that actually function? And I don't know, it's a challenge to say the very least, right? So I don't think it's about follow your passion to a degree. I think it's also about how do you get to a point where what you're doing aligns with how you want to live long term, and you'll find it. It'll manifest itself, or at least it did for me. Maybe it doesn't work that way for everyone.
How does somebody wrap their arms around that? Like because we've been taught there's so many marketing cookie cutter things we've been taught.
Yeah.
That we're supposed to put in the time, the effort. Eventually we'll have enough money where we could retire and do what we really, really want to do. Now, the younger generations don't see that. They get it. But how can somebody who hasn't found that thing they call purpose or that thing they call passion, how do they put themselves in an opportunity where they get to do what they love doing and make money at it?
There's going to be work. There's going to be things you don't like to do. So you can't just, look, I think what it takes is just getting started. If you're trying to find, what was the, chasing, trying to get ladybugs, when you stop looking for them, they just land on you. If you're hunting them down, people are so focused on finding the answer and less about the action of doing something now. Just get started doing something. You will immediately start to identify these feelings, and you can start to use this guidance or emotional guidance system to direct you in, hey, like, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. Okay, time to change. There's going to be some hardships along the way, and people need to be resilient enough to understand the difference between small hurdles in the path and mountains you can't move. And so I definitely recognized early my mountains. I'm not a great operator. I have too many things I want to build. Okay, I'm super passionate about that. Why are you so passionate? I don't know. But maybe that's what I should do. Instead of being the operator, maybe I should just go focus on building all of those things. and turn them over to other people to operate. And I was like, it snapped. But I didn't know. Look, you also have to do the operational piece for a period of time and realize either A, this is not really the environment that I want to be in and I'm going to continue to do forever, nor do I want to be known for it, or Jeremy's the best operator. He worked for the same company for 50 years and was the best. Like, that wasn't the story I was trying to write. So I was thinking from the end result and focusing on the things that aligned with that end result. And my passion just showed up. And then it was, how does it fit into my lifestyle? Why am I a lifestyle designer? What does that have to do with anything? It didn't. I didn't coin. I'm not trying to coin this for myself. It wasn't like, let me define who is Jeremy. It was just, now I'm looking back, like, I actually enjoy that. I enjoy trying to fit things into the way I'd like to live my life. Okay, so there's a name for it. Great. So my why or reason or purpose is only short term today anyway. Tomorrow it may be totally different. I'm not like, I have to only have this one purpose. It's a purpose on a timeline. So right now, that's my purpose. I love designing what I believe is fitting my future. I like living it daily. I'm enjoying it. And because of that mindset and passion and enjoyment, everything becomes more and more and more naturally successful without a lot of effort. And so I wish I could tell people there's like, do this exact thing and it'll happen. The only thing I could say is like, don't wait, just start. You have to get going. You have to, like, people are like, well, I need to figure it out first. Like, no, you don't. You just get started. You start doing the thing. You start identifying your feeling about it as you go along, recognizing that it's not going to be a perfect science, that you're not going to get it right the first time, but maybe you do. Some people find it right away. And then they're going to say, yeah, but I got to make money. I got this and that. It's like, okay, so what are you willing to sacrifice to get to that point of where I'm at? Or others that are in my same position will tell you the same thing. Cut out a bunch of things that you don't. I mean, it's not easy. Otherwise, everybody would do this. Everybody would just be doing exactly what I'm doing and living how I'm living. And so you have to recognize there is sacrifice at some level. And some other people who are really great at manifesting their future will tell you, no, that's not true. You don't have to do it that way. And great, like, prove me wrong. Go do it and do it easily and very effortlessly and with no friction at all. Great. Like, people can do that. Not everybody. So I would just say the best thing that I've learned for myself was just get started, go down the path, invest in it, put your heart into it, give it your all. Don't 50%, half-ass it, and do it for the right reasons. Don't do it because it's going to make you the money and that money's going to give you all of the other things. That is the biggest falsehood in all of these mentorships and teachings, is money will cure it. And there's a lot of guys out there promoting, like, if you're not making $1 million a year, like, you're not doing it right. Like, okay, it takes time. I'm a 30-year overnight success. Exactly. It takes a long time to get there. And be willing to do that. And look, if you have some successes along the way that move you down the path faster, congratulations. Like, it does happen. But if you try to perfect it, it's not going to happen.
If somebody's listening to you or watching you right now and they want to reach out to you, what is the best way for people to reach out to you?
I'm actually actively on LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I actually do read through messages that I get. My website is jeremylessaris.com. It's a tough spelling, so I'll give you a link. But I think in general, the best way to reach out is LinkedIn.
And Jeremy, based on this conversation, is there a question I should have asked that I didn't, or how would you like to wrap up?
Yeah, you didn't ask me when I'm coming back. I love this.
I am so, by the way, we're going to do a course. We've already talked about this in the pre-interview, that we're going to end up doing 10, 15-minute course together. And for those paying attention, the courses too much is never enough, because
I love it.
that's one of the things everyone's taught is more is better. And so we'll end up doing that together. That'll be at least one time we come back. We'll do more, but there must be something else.
No, I mean, look, you and I could talk all day. I mean, I love this. I think you're focused on impact in such a positive way. It's obviously a great reason to have these discussions and try to help in every way we can, all sorts of communities, even if it's just one person that you can make a big impact on. So I think we've covered a lot, and happy to come back and talk more about it. That's for sure.
We did. I think let's do one last thing, because you've said it 2 or 3 times. You said the word, you got to enjoy your passion and invest. And I just wanted you to highlight, because me, I'm hearing invest, but I'm hearing it could be investing time, it could be investing money, it could be investing resources of different sorts. So tell me what you mean by the word invest.
I mean, it's different for every thing you're investing in, right? But if you have a passion and you're invested in it in a way of taking ownership of the ball moving forward, to me, that could be financially, that could be time, effort, energy, it could be all of those things. But as long as it's moving forward in a positive direction that you believe is going to have the result you want, that's investment to me, right? And oftentimes, for me, investment is mostly in people, not ideas. My investments. And so some of that needs to be what I said early, investing in guidance, mentorship, leadership, partnership, or others that can help you get that ball moving forward in the right direction in a timely enough manner that it's going to get you the result you want in the time you want. That's a lot, but that is really what I believe investment is.
I love that. All right, buddy. Hey, thank you so much, Jeremy, for being with us today. Really appreciate your time and diving in a little bit more. And it's just so easy to see today who you are and how you show up in the world. And I really appreciate that.
And always a day early.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that. I was on a pod. I was just having a conversation, and Jeremy shows up, and I'm like, wait, Jeremy, you're not booked today. And I'm looking around, and I realized the first thing, you came like exactly 24 hours early. And I'm like, Jeremy, I'm so glad you're here. Do you mind if we come early, but 24 hours or 23 hours and 45 minutes from now? Right. So
on time is when I get there.
And I really appreciate it. And listen, if you're still here, my suggestion to you is Jeremy just laid so many interesting ideas and thoughts on us. It's now time to spread some cred dust. So share some of those ideas, share some of those thoughts. Click on the like button, share it with your friends, and we'll see you at the next episode of Leaders Living Their Values. Thanks so much, Jeremy, and thanks everyone else for tuning in today. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.